This is a parcel from NYXI Gaming, and since I'm shooting this video around Christmas and New Year time, they included some additional items in the parcel. The first extra item is a coaster. It is made of heat-resistant silicone, so you can put it on your computer desk and place your favorite drink on top of that. My favorite thing to drink while I sit near the computer is hot coffee, and before I was using this IKEA thing to prevent spillage from the cup on my mousepad. This thing is actually even not a coaster, it's an additional item for IKEA utensil rack. The problem with that, it's a little bit tall, and since I don't have too much space on my computer desk, sometimes when I want to move my keyboard to the left, it gets in the way. The coaster from NYXI on the other side is flat, so when there is no cup, I can put my keyboard on top of that and it works just fine. The next extra item are some NYXI branded Christmas-themed stickers. And the last extra item is some NYXI branded Christmas wrapping paper. So if you are buying anything from NYXI for someone else, you already have everything for a DIY gift wrap. Anyway, the main item of this parcel is a game controller. NYXI has quite a few of them for different applications, including PC gaming and console gaming, for example Nintendo Switch. This particular model is one of the latest ones, named Master P1. It is a wireless, wired, and Bluetooth controller for computer, iOS, Android, and also Nintendo Switch. And of course you can use it with other consoles, for example Xbox, PlayStation, and some smart TVs. Included in the package is, of course, the controller itself, some documentation and some kind of a gaming card, a USB to Type-C cable, and a wireless dongle. The shape of the controller is closer to Xbox 360 controller. It has some additional buttons, for example volume control, but it doesn't have an audio out. So these buttons are only used to remotely control the main volume of your system, and you will still have to use that system to output sound. You cannot send sound to the controller like on some other ones. The controller has RGB, which you can configure and turn off. It has rumble, which has 3 power settings, and it also can be turned off. It does have a gyro, 6-axis one, but unfortunately it only works in Nintendo Switch mode. The controller has a built-in battery, which should last you up to 8 hours, and it will take 2.5 hours to charge. While you're charging the controller, you can still use it in wired mode. And of course, if you're using the controller in one of the wireless modes, you can continue to do so while the charging is taking place. Now, I will give you a feel how the sticks, buttons, and triggers on the controller sound. So, this controller uses Hall effect sticks with 0 drift and almost non-existent dead zone. Hall effect sticks are probably the best type of sticks you can have on a controller. For the D-pad, it uses microswitches similar to those that are used in computer mice. So the D-pad is very easy to press, and it is extremely comfortable to use in some older platformer games if you're into retro gaming. The latter buttons use dome switches and the travel is very short. In general, they are also very pleasant to use. The small additional buttons on the front also use microswitches. The shoulder buttons are using tactile clicky microswitches, and the triggers are actually dual mode. There is a small lever near them, and in one position of the lever, the triggers use microswitches. However, in the other position, they turn into Hall effect analog triggers. And you can set that individually for each of the trigger. You also have 2 additional buttons on the back, which could be programmed to any button. And you don't even need a utility for that. All the programming is done directly on the controller. If you don't want to use them, you can lock them by sliding a lever, and after that they feel rock solid, as if they're part of the shell. There is also a selector switch, In the right position, it's not a lock, it's actually the dongle. So this is a wireless mode, but not Bluetooth mode. On the other end, there is Bluetooth mode, and in the middle there is Nintendo Switch mode. And you also have two plus and minus buttons between the two handles, and they also use micro switches. When you press on the stick, it also activates a micro switch. When you connect this to a PC, besides Bluetooth, you can also use this wireless dongle for wireless connection or a Type-C cable for wired connection. The receiver is comically large, by the way. I don't know why it is so massive. I'm not sure about the maximum distance, but I tried to use it from around 6 to 8 meters and it seems to work okay. When you connect this to a PC, the controller reports itself as an Xbox 360 controller in both the wired and the wireless modes, which is very good since Xbox controllers are supported natively in Windows and you shouldn't have any issues playing any Windows games on this gamepad. The hardware IDs presented are also identical in both wired and wireless modes. I also tried to measure polling rate. In wired mode, it's around 500 Hz, and in wireless mode, it's less than 200 Hz. You usually get 180-190 polling rate in wireless mode. NYXI also has an app for the phone, which you can use to manage your controller. I tried installing it, but unfortunately it failed to find this controller. It seems that since the controller is very new, they hadn't updated the app yet for it to support it. But that doesn't mean that you cannot update firmware, for example. You can download the firmware directly from NYXI Gaming website. Well, not directly, they give you a Google Drive link. But anyway, after you download the program, run it. For some reason, it asks location permissions, which I declined. Nevertheless, the program starts just fine, and what you need to do next is to make sure that the controller is in off mode, then press on the left stick down, and I don't mean the direction, click and hold it, and after that, connect the USB cable from the controller to the computer. The program will detect the controller, after which you need to press download, and after a few seconds, the firmware on the gamepad was successfully updated. So all in all, I really like this controller. The build quality is outstanding, the switches are good, and I generally prefer the Xbox controller shape to a PlayStation controller shape, since PlayStation controllers seem to be made for palms of a child, while an Xbox controller is made for a fat hand of a real man. Or maybe one of them are made with Japanese kids in mind, while the other ones are made with American kids in mind. But anyway, it's versatile, it's convenient, it has Hall effect sticks and Hall effect triggers, and it really makes a good Christmas gift. So if you want one, follow the link in the description to the official NYXI Gaming store.
I'm the god of YouTube!
Like, subscribe, jingle bells.